तक लेके आती हूँ प्राइवेट में। बैक करूँगी बंद तो नहीं होगा। बैक करूँगी बंद होगा।
मैं देखता हूँ इसमें नेट जो है इतनी देर बाद आ रहा है।
एक बात बताओ, अरे तो हमारी आवाज़ आ रही होगी, जरा की बात करूँ।
नहीं हो गया।
लग नहीं रहा।
आगे ले जाने की जरूरत है।
थोड़ा सा सर आगे ले जाना।
हाँ वो तो लग रहा है, तभी अगर एक बच्चा रहेगा ना, जैसे कोई बोलेगा तो ऐसे फ़ोन ऐसे कर देगा, फिर ऐसे करता रहेगा तो सही आएगा। अभी तो ऐसे रख देंगे नोट।
सर ये मतलब डिस्टेंस से सही।
जैसे कोई बोलेगा ना तो हल्का सा ऐसे कर देगा तो स्पीकर भी आएगा फ़ोन में।
11 लोग और
12 आ गए।
आप मुझे वो दे दो, मैं दे दूँगी।
अरे बच्ची का किसका फ़ोन है? अरे मैम को और भेजो।
सेव कर लो, आपके कॉलेज में है ये टीचर है।
request you all to maintain silence. We are beginning shortly. Students, please pay attention. Kindly keep your mobile phones on silent mode and please avoid any videography or photography during the event. And please maintain silence throughout. Thank you. All of you are requested to be seated till the end of the event as well.
उन्होंने करा है एंकर हाँ वही रेगुलर क्या बोल रहे हैं
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. A very warm welcome to all the dignitaries, esteemed speakers, scholars, and delegates gathered here for the International Conference on Exchange, Sustainable Future, Driving Sustainability through Innovation and Technology. It is a proud privilege to host this enriching academic confluence under the aegis of IITM, Institute of Innovation in Technology and Management, Department of Management. I am Ms. Ashita, Assistant Professor for Management Department, and I thank you all for gracing this occasion today. IITM, established in 2009, is affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh University, assessed as A grade by NAC. The institute aims to develop as a center of excellence for imparting technical education and gathering competent professionals with a high degree of credibility, integrity, and ethical standards. Once again, I welcome you all. आज की कॉन्फ्रेंस में हम सस्टेनेबिलिटी यानी वहनीयता के ऊपर वार्तालाप करेंगे। हम सब ने ये शब्द या तो कहीं ना कहीं सुना है या फैकल्टी मेंबर्स ने अपने स्टूडेंट्स को जरूर पढ़ाया भी है। The question here arises is, what is sustainability? Can the students give me a brief about what sustainability is? Anyone? Absolutely, saving the resources for the future generation. It is a way of living and developing that meets the present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs, as defined by the United Nations. Now let me begin with something we often talk about. In 2015, United Nations adopted the Sustainable Development Goals, 17 goals with one global promise, to build a world that is so economically viable and environmentally sustainable by 2030. Now here's the tricky part. India, despite being one of the fastest and major growing economies of the world, is ranked 111 out of 125 countries in the FDG Index 2023. So the question is not whether we are growing. The real question is, are we going in the right direction? ये सवाल मैं आप सबसे छोड़ती हूँ। आज की इस कॉन्फ्रेंस में हमें ऐसे कई सवालों के जवाब जरूर दें। Let us start this auspicious day by seeking the blessings of Ma Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge and wisdom. Now I request all the conference dignitaries, Shri Kumar Rohitji, Mr. Amit Jaini, Mr. Anurag Chopra, and our esteemed management, Director of IITM, Professor Dr. Monica Pushishta, Registrar Sir, Dr. Chandra Mohan, HOD IT, Dr. Vinani Banerjee, IQAC Head, Dr. Mohra Madhu, to kindly proceed towards writing of the dance ceremony. हर जगह की अपनी एक कहानी होती है। IITM हमारे लिए सिर्फ एक नाम नहीं बल्कि एक एहसास है। Before we move on to the felicitation of our esteemed dignitaries, let us take a moment to reflect on the institution that has brought all of us here today. To give you a glimpse into this journey, we have a short video that beautifully captures the spirit, achievements, and vibrant life of our college. Let us enjoy this visual experience as we celebrate the essence of our institution. आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। उम्मीद है आप सभी को हमारे छोटा सा प्रयास पसंद आया होगा।
Dr. Mahesh Varmaji, Vice Chancellor of Govind Singh University, Recipient Correspondent and Director and Principal of Maulana Azad Institute of Technology. The Government of India awarded him in 2014 with the Padma Shri, the fourth highest Indian award for critical history.
अब समय है हमारे आदरणीय अतिथियों के स्वागत का। अब मैं हमारी डायरेक्टर प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर मोनिका कुलश्रेष्ठ मैम से अनुरोध करती हूँ कि वो हमारे अतिथियों का स्वागत करें। I would like to call upon our chief guest, Shri Kumar Rohit, additional CPF Commissioner, to accept our token of gratitude. Thank you very much, sir. I now invite our guest of honor, Mr. Amit Janani, Chief Technology Officer, PTI, to step forward and accept the honor. Dr. Bharat Singh Thapa, Assistant Professor, Tribhuvan University, Nepal, and Dr. Ursula Visoka, a global banking and finance expert, who have graced the occasion online with us. सस्टेनेबिलिटी के इस अवसर पर मैं ये कहना चाहूँगी कि जिस प्रकार हम मेहमानों का स्वागत करते हैं, ठीक उसी प्रकार हमें प्रकृति का भी सम्मान करना होगा, क्योंकि प्रकृति हमें सिर्फ संसाधन नहीं बल्कि जीवन भी प्रदान करती है और उसे बचाना हमारा कर्तव्य भी है। इसी सोच के साथ अतिथि के रूप में आए सभी आदरणीय व्यक्तियों का हार्दिक आभार व्यक्त करते हुए अब मैं IITM के डायरेक्टर डॉक्टर मोनिका श्रीष्ठा मैम से अनुरोध करूँगी कि वे स्टेज पे आए और स्वागत संबोधन प्रस्तुत करें। प्लीज हैव अ ह्यूज राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज फॉर
brilliant person sitting here will be gracing the occasion today, and two more speakers will be joining online. It is my privilege and honor to address the address and say a few things and to make the tone ready. Although I have good speakers here and they will be deliberating it, so I don't think so I have to speak much. But few things that I would like to mention. The topic of sustainable development, I will take you to a memory lane, to a house where I was born and brought up. It was a house that was a big house that had lawn, that had field, that had cow sheds, that had cows, and it was a big house that I was born and brought up. But why am I mentioning this? That we never had a problem of sustainability or anything or any garbage problem we never faced. I'll tell you how and why. Actually, we were brought up with a different kind of a narrative altogether. There were no plastics then. So all the farm product or green product that used to come to our kitchen was religiously segregated and respectfully given to the cow even before the consumption was discounted at food. All the things that was not given to these cattle were actually given or deposited in a pit that was created in a field outside. So all of us knew कि अगर कुछ बचता है तो उसी में डालना, खाना उतना ही लेना जितना कि खत्म हो जाए उसमें का ये दाना सुख देगा मुझको मनमाना। तो ये नैरेटिव से भी बराबर कभी भी घर का प्लास्टिक्स नहीं थे, तो we never had seen any garbage truck or trolley coming to our house to collect anything. Everything was consumed and used within the house itself. The farm products, the dried, अभी हम पराली से बहुत परेशान होते हैं, but we never faced it क्योंकि उनको सब कुछ स्टोर करते थे. And outhouse, the people who were living in our outhouse, and some of the product वो fuel की तरह पूरे सर्दियों में यूज होते. कभी जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ी. The autumn में जितनी भी पत्तियां गिरती थी and it was stored, और वो जैसे ही transition phase आता था और immediately the mosquitoes used were on rise, उसको जला दिया जाता था और ये problem cattle के लिए हम लोगों के लिए सबके लिए sorted थी. We never faced a problem. Completely limited. I remember wearing what my elder sister used to wear, I used to wear and pass on to my sister, and then to the maid, and later on, उसका भी पोछा बना के खत्म करते थे. We never used to say anything. So the narrative was very, very clear. It was need and not greed in which we were offered. हम सब ने अपने घरों में कभी पूजा या किया है, और अगर एंड में उसमें एक शब्द बोलते हैं कि विश्व का कल्याण और मनुष्यों में बस सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट का क्रक्स ही यही है कि विश्व का कल्याण हो और मनुष्यों में सद्भावना हो. जब आप अपना कल्याण और दूसरों के मन में आपके लिए सद्भावना ढूंढेंगे
रही है. So the most important problem that we are facing because of this. There are certain things that I would like to tell more. That actually, if you see in the Indian knowledge system or in India, because the story that I told you about my childhood, it was the way of life. Sustainability was the way of life. It was not a something different that has to be treated or had to be addressed. ये बहुत बचपन से क्लियर कर दिया जाता था कि अगर आप अपने वातावरण का ध्यान नहीं रखेंगे तो आप सस्टेन नहीं कर पाएंगे. That was the narrative in which we were brought up. Then every Veda, if you talk of in India, the prayer that we say, Sarvabharantu Sutantu, that everybody may live happily and everybody should be living, be away from suffering. All the prayers and all the chantings that has been done, apart from what wishes that you have, ultimately you talk of that Vishwaka Kalyan. I mean, the crisis that even if both Iran and Israel are directly impacted, but all of us are indirectly impacted. So if there is a peace in the world, then there will be happiness and sustainability. There's another concept that our parents and forefathers was अपनी ग्रह not holding. कोई भी चीज की holding नहीं करती. चाहे कम था, लेकिन for many days people used to save some, but not for the greed. The problem of LPG gas, as the government is saying, the problem is not as such, but the problem is more of a hoarding that people are trying to keep it, that what will happen next. It will happen next and all of us will suffer in the same manner. Whether one will be suffering and the other will not be suffering, that will not going to happen. So sooner or later thing will happen. So this concept and this narrative was there and we were brought up in that narrative. Each one of us has, if you see, the art has enough for everybody's need, but it doesn't have enough for anyone's need. The moment the greed creeps in, this sustainability, whatever we are talking about, everything will shatter and nothing will be left. What we lack is actually, if you talk of knowledge, ethics and action. Knowledge we have enough. If you sit in the conference, if you talk to the policy makers, they have all the solution to all the problems. The knowledge is there, the data is there, and you have everything that you want to know at present. The problems comes with the ethics and the problem comes with the actually the implementation part and actually what we want that others should follow and I should follow. बाकी लोग कारपूल करके आए लेकिन मैं तो अपने टाइम से निकलूँ. So the moment it comes to yourself, then everything shatters down. And give you a little data that around 1.7 Earth is actually needed to sustain the human consumption. अपने घर में जा करके open the wardrobe and see the number of clothes that you have. And the senior teachers, the Italian and all, you know that when we were young, we didn't have the luxury of so many clothes and so many things. But we were really happy when we never dreamt कि हमारी photo दोबारा उस साड़ी में किसी ने नहीं देखी. We were actually happy then. Nearly 1 million species are on the verge of extinction. Global temperature have risen to 1.1 degree to आप AC बढ़ा लेते हैं, लेकिन उसका impact ये है 6% drop in the crop. The demand of the water will increase to 40% than what is the actual supply in us. The total environment damage is estimated to be $45 trillion. And all is because of the unchecked consumption that we keep on doing. Actually, I was reading one thing about the Parsi community, and they said the Parsis are the very affluent community. And this community say, when we have to buy anything, we never do impulsive buying. And this we teach our children also, कि अगर 2 दिन बाद जरूरत हो तो ही लेगा.
and 80% of the time we don't land up buying. Because most of the thing that we buy is the impulsive buying that we do. Several only looking, but we do buy this. So the need of the hour, as the Yajurveda says that Chom Shanti, Antariksha Shanti, Prithvi Shanti. अगर आपको हर जगह आपको शांति environment, it has been written long that आप अंतरिक्ष के लिए आप ये जो मिसाइल जो ये जो चीजें डाल रहे हैं, satellites भेज रहे हैं, we are disturbing the entire solar system and the many other galaxies that are there. We are disturbing everything, and the repercussions sooner or later we will have to face. You have to take the ownership yourself. So it is just not by signing the treaties the problems will not solve. The major countries आप कहते हैं कि हमें ज़्यादातर पटाखे जलाने से environment खराब करते हैं. And the kind of diapers and the tissue papers the Western world is using in their toilets is contributing much more than we, the poor nations, can actually are doing. So actually what is required at the agenda is that we need to change the value movement we have to make. We have to talk about it, that it has to be embedded within us as it used to be earlier. So it has to change from sectorial approach to the system approach, from consumption to conservation, from actually division to interconnectedness. और विश्व का कल्याण हो, और ये विश्व का कल्याण आप तभी कर सकते हैं जब आप वैल्यू ड्रिवन सस्टेन डेवलपमेंट करेंगे. and ये development will take you a developed sustained world. This world I come to end. Thank you so much, and I hope that you will be listening to a very good speakers today, going to a lot of value addition. So thank you all, and take the most out of it, and just not listen to it. Try to bring one change in each of us. Even the minor changes makes a difference. Thanks.
मनुष्य में सद्भावना हो, विश्व का कल्याण हो. Well said. Ma'am also said another thing. She said, Earth has enough for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. And I couldn't agree more. Thank you, ma'am. Your words are always so encouraging. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pride that I now draw your attention to one of the most significant and thoughtful moments of this conference, the inaugural of conference proceedings. I now humbly invite all the esteemed dignitaries present here to kindly join together for the inaugural release of the conference proceedings. Moita ma'am, I also request you to join the stage. We are delighted to unveil our abstract booklet on next-gen sustainable futures. The booklet is a reflect of the diverse topics consisting nearly 30 selected papers. It carries the contributions of students, teachers, research scholars, respected dignitaries, showcasing a rich treasure of ideas and innovations. Can we please again have a huge round of applause for all the participants that contributed? आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. अब बात सस्टेनेबिलिटी की उठी है, तो आपको एक छोटी सी बात बताती हूँ. कहा जाता है कि रतन टाटा जी जब एक प्रोजेक्ट का निरीक्षण कर रहे थे, तो उन्होंने देखा कि फैक्ट्री के बाहर भारी मात्रा में पानी व्यर्थ बह रहा है. तो उन्होंने तुरंत सवाल किया, क्या ये पानी हमारे काम का नहीं? टीम ने कहा, सर ये पानी तो वेस्ट है, इसका तो कोई उपयोग नहीं. तो टाटा जी ने जवाब दिया, आज जो तुम्हें बेकार लग रहा है वही कल सबसे कीमती संसाधन बन सकता है. बस फिर इसके बाद उस पानी की रिसाइकलिंग की व्यवस्था की गई, जिससे न सिर्फ लागत यानी कि कॉस्ट कम हुई, बल्कि पर्यावरण पर भी दबाव बहुत कम है। कहानी छोटी है, लेकिन संदेश बहुत बड़ा है। सस्टेनेबिलिटी बड़े बड़े प्रोजेक्ट से नहीं, छोटी छोटी सोच और फैसलों से शुरू होती है। It is now time to call upon stage our guest of honor, Mr. Amit Gemini, Chief Technology Officer at the Press Trust of India. He brings nearly 3 decades of extensive experience in media technology and digital transformation. He has proven track record in broadcast automation, media workflows, news agency operations, and IT infrastructure management. Over the years, he has successfully led the launch of multiple TV channels, FM stations, and advanced media systems, setting benchmarks for the industry. He is also a key advocate of adapting emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence and machine learning to enhance content delivery, optimize workflows, and strengthen operational efficiency. This makes him a great driving force in shaping the future of modern media. Sir, I really request you to come forward and enlighten us with your words of wisdom. Can we have a huge round of applause for that?
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to start by extending thanks to Amrita ma'am, Diwali ma'am, and the entire IITM team who invited me here to interact with you. So whenever I come to the students at college, I feel a deep connect with you because like around 30 years back, I was on the other side of the podium sitting and there's a curious anxiety, some nervous excitement and endless queries that are very familiar confusions and all that face. So there's a lot of confusion about the career path ahead. So I really relate to you when I come to the college and talking to you. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to you. But like what we have observed and during the discussions with the professors and all, so we have found that when we are in this thick of the student life, we often don't take the student-teacher dynamic very seriously, or maybe not seriously enough. I've learned that unless we truly respect our professors, this is been my experience, our learning remains incomplete. You need to have that connect and they will be guiding you to much bigger heights if you are connected to them properly. It is a realization that only hits you years later, but it is a fundamental truth for the course. And in that I want to look at the person sitting next to you because I think all of you spent 3 to 4 years in your college. So I want you to look at the person sitting next to you, the person, and in this peak of exam, the placements, we generally take our peers as the competitors. So there's a lot of competition which has been getting with it, but when you will go after a few years, you will realize that these are the people who are your professional network and the professional network for your entire life. And they are the strongest support system in your industry. They will always be. So these people who are sitting next to you, the friends, the bond you forge here are far more valuable than few decimal points on your GPA. So when you study, start developing these bonds also. These bonds are also very important. Sometimes we miss these bonds and these are very important for our life. So like investing, I'm not coming up, so I will come to sustainability. I will tell you that how you can actually participate in that. Because sustainability also for everyone is a different idea. So I will first start, I'll give you my career, bridging how it started and how I actually went in. I will give you some idea about my career path and I will relate it to you, how it will going to help you, and if it can help you, I will be very happy with that. So I have spent my career bridging the gap between the era of analog tapes to the era of generative AI. So when I started, it was all the analog tapes which are in circulation now. At the time you just give a command and you create anything you want. So I very gracefully and proudly can say that I am old enough to remember that when the cloud was just something that going outside broadcast, but young enough to know that if your business isn't cloud native today, then it's basically extinct. So you need to be cloud native in this time. So the meaning of cloud has changed over the years. So when I started my career, I joined as an IT professional for a few years. Then I came to know that a new channel is coming, which is a digital, it will be first digital news channel in India. And they're looking for IT professionals to build this channel. And I was lucky enough, I got this opportunity, and we launched the channel Aajtak at that time. And it was the first digital channel with non-linear editing, the smaller OB bands which can go anywhere faster to others. It got the tagline of "Sabse Tej" with the tech on that. The competition was delivering the one news in 40 to 50 minutes. We were able to deliver in 2 to 3 minutes. So the speed was the main key at that time. That give us said in 1 month's time, you were the leading channel of the country. And after that, you all have seen the success story of Aajtak, India Today. Then we launched Red FM also, Tej with the Aajtak channel. Then we did the OAFM as well. So this was all through journey we had done that. But over these years, when I was working there, so I was just thinking that there's always this learning, which is always important, innovation, and you're always working on new things, which is what which takes you further for the goal. So after spending some 19 years with Aajtak, I moved to TV9 Bharatvarsh to launch the Bharatvarsh channel. TV9 Group wanted to come up with a national channel. So I joined them as the CEO for that, and we launched TV9 Bharatvarsh, and fortunately it also became a good success. And after doing that, I came to know the country's biggest and largest and oldest news agency and most trusted, PTI, wants to launch video services. And I was fortunate enough I was given this opportunity, and I just backed it because this is a lifetime opportunity, because generally there are very few news agencies, and that too something which is 70, 80 years old, and which is giving with that credibility, is giving that chance to work with that. So I worked with that, and during these experiences, I realized that innovation is like an OS update. If you ignore it long enough, your system will crash. So basically, just keep updating yourself. That is very important this time. And now I think all are being like AI is something which everyone is talking about these days. So I know the vibe in the room is about AI, because you must be looking at that, you must be wondering if what you are studying at this career, will it exist for 5 years or not, with the pace it is coming up. But let me assure you, let's take the record straight, set the system record straight. AI isn't going to take your job. A human using AI is going to take your job. So if you are not better than the other person, then your job is at stake. But if you are better than the other person, you are more issues. You just need to be better than your profile. Don't fear the machine. Fear the mind behind the machine. So you have to be better than the mind who is controlling that machine. So if you are better, then you are absolutely safe, and you are very, very safe path ahead. AI is great at what and how, but it is terrible at why. And this why is where your future lives. So always focus on why. So if you can deliver on why, you will never be outdated in this industry. Because people are generally this time as well fear that they are outdated in 2 years. But if you are always working on why, you will never be. I'll say 2 statements, and I'll ask you if you agree with that. I'll give you 2 statements. You have seen the AI growth in the last few years. So do you think that this is the fastest growth of AI which we have seen in our lifetimes? If you agree, please raise your hands. It's the fastest growth you have seen of AI in your lifetime till now. Now, there is another statement going this. Do you also feel that this is the slowest growth of AI in the remaining life cycle? So, where we are standing today, so it is the same. So what we are seeing is that AI is coming very fast, but it is actually the slowest pace. Going forward, things is going to change, and obviously, and you will be changing this. People, there's like after 10-15 years, some other students will be sitting and you will be telling them about this thing. So never fear this. Just get into this space and take this AI as something which is helping you. So at PTI, so whenever we get out one single verified code, this is our responsibility to take that single verified code to the entire country, over 1 billion people, in their language, and their problem. So which is a big task. And if you want to do it manually, it is not possible. It is not feasible. That's all it is. So then you need some technology which can help you on that. And a lot of technology. Every organization these days is a tech organization. If you don't have tech to support you, you will never grow. So when we started this service, so we actually engaged a lot of AI components in that. So today when we are doing any live, so we have 4 consecutive lives always going on PTR services. So we do a live transcription, we do live translation of that, we do highlights, summary, and that too is with the timestamp of that. So how it helps is, like if Stalin is giving a speech in Tamil, and you are a Hindi speaking or a English speaking person, you don't understand Tamil, and it's actually going on. But with this, you exactly know what he said in what time frame. If you want to use that clip, you have to just mark in and mark out at that, and you can take out the clip and can use it. And that all is provided at PTI platform to AI with a manual check on that. So because at PTI the credibility is most important. So whenever we use AI, we never transmit anything without a human verification. Human verification is very important for us. So during for the journalists also, we always tell that we want our journalists to be better through AI. We want them to get smarter, not the AI to get smarter. So how we use it that so whatever passion you have, never use AI for that. Let the AI do the things if you don't like. So if you are writing an article, I will just give an example and tell you something which can relate to yourself. If you are writing an article, so writing article if it's your passion, maybe research about that is something which will take days of time. Use AI for that. So we do research through AI, we do fact checking from AI. We ask them to suggest some good SEO based headlines on that we can work on. So we use AI for all those things. We check for a lot of conversions, etc. So AI is helping us, but we are using our brain. And at the same time, we have deployed a mechanism that if the person is using AI, we keep monitoring the usage pattern. So if this usage pattern is going down, means the person is getting smarter. If this usage pattern for the same thing is increasing, then the person is getting dumber. So we need to concentrate on that if the person is improving or not by using AI. Because with AI, why I am focusing on AI models? Because as we are talking about sustainability, AI was a big threat to sustainability. Because if you don't understand your things better, there will be a lot of issues. Because for every AI thing, there is so much of carbon emission, heat, water is wasted, the processing power it takes, there is so much of wastage of the resources. So if you are wasting so much of resources, you have to be very mindful in what you are doing. So at PTI, we are looking for a green AI kind of thing, and we want it to be the most efficient. So anything we are sending onto the cloud, we send it in a low resolution format. We stream in low resolution format. We process, we edit, we try everything to capture every processor, every storage, everything we try to bring down the processing down. So that the heat, the carbon emission is at the lowest level. But at the same time, we don't compromise on the quality. So with the tech, we have got this combination that when the final delivery is done, it is in a half. So the entire process was in lowest, but the final output was in higher resolution. That will save our mother nature with lot of carbon emission and other threats which AI poses to all of us today. And like in 2026 we are sitting today. Today a lame code is a heavy code. So if your algorithm isn't energy efficient, it isn't elegant. It's just bad engineering. So sustainability isn't a feature which will add in a version 2.0. It has to be the source code of everything you build. So everything you are building today, build with that mind that it has to be sustainable. So because like you are too young to go for other things and help nature with that, but this is the time for you to focus on your career. That is the most important thing for you. And how, while focusing on your career, how you can help further is by just doing the efficient coding, so that you take the minimum of the resources. That will help you actually in your career growth also. So if your programming is taking the least of the resources, your code will run fast. Your outputs will be better. You will be most desired in the industry. So while helping the mother nature, you are helping your growth as well. So I was at Saudi Media Forum 2 months back. I was a speaker there. So it was very clear in that forum that the global media landscape is moving towards a zero emission storytelling. So whether it's through virtual production or decentralized newsrooms, we are cutting the carbon, but we are not cutting the carbon. We have to cut the carbon. That is for sure. Otherwise we cannot survive. And as you are, all the people who are very young and you are going to enter jobs in a year or two, I'll say when you enter this field, always enter with the entrepreneur mindset. Not saying it's only as entrepreneur, the entrepreneur mindset. If you are working for someone, still work as you are the entrepreneur. You, whatever you do, generally what happens is, what we have seen with my experience, the technical people or the other people, the support functions, HR, admin, and other people, generally when they don't grow, the reason is they don't feel themselves to be part of the growth of themselves. Never take yourself as a support system. Always work with an entrepreneur kind of a mindset. Work towards the growth of the organization. Add revenue to the organization. If you are generating revenue for the organization, everybody will respect you in the organization. So it's not only the responsibility of the CEO or the owner or the director of the institute and other people to for the growth. Every person working for the organization, it is their responsibility to work for the growth of the institute or the company they are working for. Because if that will grow, then everyone will automatically. So work with that entrepreneur attitude and it will help you in the long way. And keep innovating things. Sometimes laziness is also a base because of the innovations come through laziness. अगर किसी को पैदल चलने में दिक्कत नहीं होती तो गाड़ी वगैरह सब इन्वाइट नहीं होता तो उनका इनोवेशन नहीं होता. तो laziness is something which pushes you for innovations and all. तो और आप आपके काम में क्या है कि how it relates to इसकी जब भी आप कुछ काम कर रहे हैं तो just think of कि मैं कैसे क्या इनोवेट कर रहा हूँ. Give you one example कि आप कितने टाइम से चैनल्स देखते आ रहे हैं न्यूज़ चैनल. तो when I was working with आज तक तो हम लोग वेदर आता था इंटरनेशनल नेशनल चैनल सभी जगह एक ही तरह से वेदर आता था एंकर आती थी एंड शी वाज एक्सप्लेनिंग वेदर. तो वाइल वी वर्किंग ऑन दिस हमने एक आइडिया सोचा कि हम एक करते हैं कि हम इसके एक एलिमेंट मूव कराते हैं मैप के ऊपर और उसको मूव करा के वो जिस जिस सिटी में जाएगा उसका टेम्परेचर होता है. तो हमने वो प्रोग्राम किया एंड इट वर्क वेल और हमें टाटा सुमो ने उसके लिए स्पॉन्सरशिप एंड वी बिकेम द फर्स्ट कंपनी कि जहाँ पे वेदर स्पॉन्सर है और टाटा सुमो बिकेम द स्पॉन्सर फॉर अवार्ड when we started getting money from that. उसके बाद एशियन पेंट और लॉट ऑफ अदर स्पॉन्सर्स दे केम टू अस. उन्होंने आके हमें बोला कि अब हमें चाहिए हमारे नाम के साथ आप करना चाहिए एंड उसके बाद से वो वेदर क्रिएटिव होता है. आप इंडस्ट्री में की स्टार्ट करते हो उसको फॉलो करते हैं एंड दैट इज समथिंग व्हिच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. जब भी आप लाइफ में कुछ कर रहे हो आप जो भी सेट आप बेंचमार्क सेट करते हो एंड व्हेन पीपल जब कोई कॉपी करे तो बी हैप्पी फॉर नेवर रिग्रेट कि आपको कॉपी कर रहा है उससे कोई रिलेटेड हो रहा है. समबडी इज कॉपीइंग यू is proving that you are right. तो अगर कोई कॉपी कर रहा है तो इट्स गुड जस्ट रन फास्टर ताकि वो आपको फॉलो करे. तो अगर वो फॉलो करते जा रहे हैं तो ऑटोमेटिकली फॉलोअर बन जाए कि आप लीडर बन जाओ. सो नेवर बी अफ्रेड ऑफ समबडी कॉपिंग यू. समबडी इज कॉपिंग यू आर डूइंग गुड. एंड लाइक एक हमेशा एक चीज़ आती है कि जो काफ़ी लोगों के हमारे ग्रोथ होते हैं तो हम लोग बेसिकली एक नेचर होता है कि आप एक कंफर्ट जोन में जाते हो. Enter this comfort zone. उसके बाद आपकी ग्रोथ खत्म हो. So I was working with after I had no issue. I was absolutely fine. I was working since long, very good relationship. But मुझे लगने लगा कि अगर कोई रात को मुझे 2:30 बजे की लाइक चैनल पे से 24 आवर्स काइंड ऑफ जॉब. आपको सुबह से शाम कभी भी कोई कॉल आ सकता है. और मतलब आई थिंक अगर किसी को भी ग्रोथ चाहिए तो वो 9 to 5 होगी. क्योंकि 9 to आप मतलब if you imagine any successful person which you can relate to or can think of. Just imagine any successful person. And उसके बाद सोचिए कि वो 9 to 5 से करता है. जब आप काम करो, मे भी हो सकता है आप किसी दिन 2 घंटे काम करो. I know it is work life balance जरूर होना चाहिए और बहुत अच्छा आपको अपनी लाइफ एंजॉय करना चाहिए, क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ होना चाहिए. बट जब आप अपनी किसी पैशन के लिए काम कर रहे हो, चाहे 20 घंटे हो या 48 घंटे हो, तो उस टाइम पर मत सोचो. It working for your passion. So never look at your watch when you are working for something innovative. तो बहुत जरूरी है एंड कंफर्ट जोन में मत ऐड कभी भी करिए. आई वाज देयर लाइक रात को 2:30 बजे का कॉल आता था कि कुछ इशू आ रहा है और मैं रात को फोन उठाता था, आंसर किया, फोन करता रखिए, सुबह याद ही नहीं रहता था कि मैंने बोला क्या. तो आई गॉट सो यूज्ड टू इन दैट एनवायरनमेंट कि वो सब चीज़ें कंफर्ट आ गया कि जो भी चीज़ आती है आपको पहले ही बताया कि ये है, ऐसे होगा, तो सब चीज़ें आराम से चल रही. तो लाइफ सुकून में सब कुछ चल रहा है. तो वहाँ मुझे डर लगने लगा कि यार ये क्या होगा कि आई एम गेटिंग इनटू अ कंफर्ट जोन, ये सब चीज़ें आ रही हैं और जो चीज़ें कंटिन्यूस बिल्ड करते जा रहे थे अभी शायद वो नहीं करते. तो देन आई टुक अप, आई स्टार्टेड लुकिंग अप कि मुझे आई थिंक इट्स द टाइम टू लीव. एंड व्हेन आई वाज एंटरिंग टीम आई वाज अ स्मॉलर ग्रुप, so I had this very interesting interaction with the vice chairperson of my group at that time. So she is like, I went to thank her while leaving the organization, and she told me at that time, and she is very, I respect her a lot. She said कि अगर you are a family and it would have been great अगर आप किसी बड़े ग्रुप में जाते हो और बड़ा कुछ कर रहे हो. So I told her that I fully agree with you, but my point is leaving is because what I feel is कि whatever I am today is because of this brand. I have no identity. I want to challenge myself. And when I want to challenge myself, I want to go to a smaller group. And I want to try if I can work, because I have never seen anyone beating Ashtak. So I want to go and work for the channel. And if that channel can beat Ashtak at some day, then I will see that if I have learned something from here. Otherwise, with this family, I can always come back. And fortunately for me, we went there, and even in Bharatvarsh became the first channel to beat Ashtak in this. So we became number one. So when you work for the dreams, you take challenges, tells you. Then again the point came with the challenge, but when this opportunity came to work for PBI, I just grabbed it immediately. Because I knew that this is a big transition, because everybody is working on kind of a mode where they are very happy with the text and photo services and bringing photo, synergy, digital transformation. It is a big thing. So that challenge was so exciting. I joined there and been 6.5, 7 years there. There's not a single day when we are not thinking about anything innovative. In fact, we are just launching a new product in another 2 weeks' time. So we are always working to build new things, to bring innovation. And I am like, there's the biggest news agency in the world, is ABN Reuters are the biggest one. And around 1.5, 2 months back, ABS and Baylor, they are also subscribers, and they just copied one feature of us. We were so happy that these international agencies are these days now copying us. So if these PIs are copying us, they are doing good. And the day will come when we will beat them in their way. So we are working for that, and we are very confident. And it is not, we are not taking as only the responsibility of one top person. It's the responsibility of everybody in the organization. When we will work as team, we will beat them. So my career advice to you is that as you head out to build the next gen of sustainable and sustainable tech, remember a few things which will be helpful to you. Your reputation is the only thing that doesn't have an undo or control Z. Build it with integrity. Integrity is really important in that. Don't just be a full stack developer, be a full stack citizen. Know your code affects the planet. It's not just the UI. So you have to be very careful while designing and working for it. I'll not tell you some lot of idealistic kind of things, because you are at that time of your career where growth is most important to you. And with your growth, whatever you can do to help your country, the planet, is something which you should do. We have survived at PK for almost 80 years now because we prioritize credibility over clicks. In a world of deep fakes, truth is the ultimate disruptive technology. So I'll leave you with few thoughts. That the future doesn't have a dark mode. It's as bright as we choose to build it. From the frantic days of Ashtak to the AI-driven revolution of PBI today, the goal hasn't changed. We use the best tools of the time because the most important story for our lives. And if you think that your Wi-Fi is slow is a problem, then you just remember that somebody had to wait for 20 minutes to upload one single photograph with a dial-up modem that sounded like a cat being strangled. So somebody has used the dial-up modems. So you are living a dream. Go build something that matters. Thank you so much. Self-explanatory.
Thank you so much, Amit sir, and especially would like to thank you for telling us that AI is not going to take our jobs. Thank you very much for that. And sir also mentioned one thing, that if you ignore nature, the system will crash. सर के शब्दों से मुझे एक बहुत उचित ख्याल आया, प्रकृति के साथ संतुलन बिगड़ा तो विकास भी नहीं दिख पाएगा. So thank you so much. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर. It is now my privilege to introduce our esteemed chief guest for today, Shri Kumar Rohit ji, a distinguished public servant with over 3 decades of exemplary service. Sir currently serves as the Additional Central Provident Fund Commissioner Headquarters and the Director at PBU NDWS under the Employees Provident Fund Organization EPFO. With a rich academic background from prestigious institutions like the Institution of Social Studies, the Hawk, University of Delhi, etc., he brings both intellectual depth and practical wisdom to the table. Throughout his illustrious career, he has played a pivotal role in administering social security system, driving large-scale organizational transformation, and shaping impactful public policies across multiple regions of India, including Delhi, Uttarakhand, Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Gujarat, and Rajasthan. Sir, we are truly honored to welcome you, and it's an honor to have such an inspiring leader in the room with us today. With this, I'd like to call you here for your address. Thank you very much. So, can you have a big round of applause?
My dear Indian friends, कैसे हैं आप लोग? बहुत धीरे होते हैं. So, do you know what does captive audience means? आप लोगों को जो बताया गया कि एक कॉन्फ्रेंस ऐसा करना है और आपको तैयारी भी करनी है और लंच तक शायद यहाँ बैठना नहीं है. तो दिमाग में क्या चल रहा है? यार आप सकते हैं, चलिए कुछ घंटे बैठ जाएंगे, नहीं तो मैं नाराज हो जाएंगी. Something like that. How many of you are from EBA? Please raise your hands. Good number. And how many are you from BCA? Raise your 4 hands. चलिए ये बताएं, आज की जो टॉपिक है नेट एंड सस्टेनेबल फ्यूचर, व्हाट डज इट मीन टू यू? दिमाग में इस विषय से क्या चलता है? कोई बताएगा? लास्ट कॉल. यस मैम, प्लीज. जागो. सॉरी, आई कुडंट हियर यू.
So, how we can make a city sustainable?
Make a city sustainable. Oh, very good. Anyone else? कोई और बताएगा? ये दोस्त खड़े हो जाओ. हाँ बताओ.
कैसे रिसोर्सेज को एफिशिएंटली यूटिलाइज करके उसको वेस्ट ना करें.
आपकी आवाज मुझे सुनाई नहीं.
सर कैसे रिसोर्सेज को effectively and efficiently use करना.
Efficient, effective बनाएंगे. और anyone from girls? बेटा आप बताएं. First one. ये आपसे कीजिए.
Yes, you. Please, there's nothing right, there's nothing wrong. You have to give your opinion.
बोलो हम लोग गपशप कर रहे हैं. Don't be scared.
कैसे रिसोर्स को अच्छे से यूज करना है, दिमाग में वेस्ट
रिसोर्स को अच्छे से यूज करें. ये बताओ, आप में से कितने लोग हैं जो फोन पे सोते हुए ये सोचते कि चलो 10 मिनट और स्क्रॉल कर लेते हैं और तो घंटों में बढ़ फाइन फाइन, बहुत बढ़िया बहुत बढ़िया। सो दुनिया बदल गई है, सस्टेनेबिलिटी की मैं एक और एलिमेंट आपसे आज डिस्कस करूँ। जो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट रिसोर्स है जिसको सस्टेनेबिलिटी की जरूरत है वो आप ह्यूमन कैपिटल। मेगा अर्बन सिटी में जो भी आप बनाएंगे उसको कंज्यूम यूज कौन करेगा? आपको उसके लिए जिंदा रहना होगा, आपको उसके लिए हेल्दी रहना पड़ेगा, हेल्दी बोथ फिजिकली एंड मेंटली। सो आर वी गोइंग इन दैट डायरेक्शन? Success is not a race. It's your stamina to save yourself from the long run. If you have given to better people, the most of you are members in bracket. So redefine what we are going for, what we are focusing on, and what we intend to achieve. यही तय करेगा कि आप सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट इन ऑल टोटलिटी कर पाते हैं या नहीं। सो वी ऑल आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर द यूनिवर्स। यूनिवर्स से क्या मतलब है? कोई बताएगा? According to faculty, okay? Galaxies and other things are also the planet, the environment, the surroundings, all are part of the universe. So we all are responsible for the universe because we are the universe. In the cosmic sense, we all are small particles. लेकिन आप और हम जो भी करते हैं उसका असर पूरे सिस्टम पे पड़ता है या नहीं? आपको ये ज्ञान बराबर मिल जाएगा कि कुछ अच्छा करो तो मन में ये किसके सवाल आता है कि मेरे अच्छा करने से क्या होगा? आता है? सबके मन में आता है? ये सही है गलत है? आपने एक छोटा सा अच्छा काम किया इससे दुनिया को क्या फर्क पड़ा या इस IITM को ही क्या फर्क पड़ा? आपको खुद को सही लगता है चाहिए, पर उसको लगता है कि मैंने कुछ अच्छा किया, उसका इम्पैक्ट यहाँ जैसे कुछ अच्छा किया उसका पूरा इम्पैक्ट IITM में पड़ा नहीं। कितने लोग इनसे सहमत हैं कि आप इस इंस्टीट्यूट में एक अच्छा काम करेंगे तो वो सब पे इम्पैक्ट कर रहा है या नहीं कर रहा? जो लोग समझते हैं सब पे इम्पैक्ट कर रहा है वो हाथ नहीं उठना है, जो समझते हैं इम्पैक्ट सब पे नहीं कर रहा है प्लीज रेज योर हैंड। नहीं करता ओके फाइन, डर के नहीं हाथ उठाया कि कहीं पे गलत ना हो जाए। गुड थिंग्स आर नॉट विजिबल लाउडली। नाउ थिंक ऑफ द सिचुएशन, एक पार्टी सामने जो सिग्नल से लीक करता है वो गन उठाया और IIT के गेट के अंदर डाल दिया पास में मॉर्निंग, उसके बाद चुपचाप अंदर आ गया। Your one act will impact entire IITM or not? सारा बिल्कुल वही बात करते हैं, करेंगे ना? So even if you are a particle in this big universe, your action matters. Good actions are not visible immediately, but they matter. तो आपको सोचना पड़ेगा कि आप कैसे सस्टेनेबल बनेंगे। have to act for good things only in your interest. आप किसी का एहसान नहीं करोगे। In your interest आपको प्रैक्टिकली इन चीजों में आना पड़ेगा। तो उसके लिए क्या करना पड़ेगा? Is there any toolkit? So I would like doable. I call it algorithmic Ravana. We all are under this track. जो आप 10 मिनट का सोच के 2 घंटे 1 घंटे information का एक पर एक बस देखिए तेरा mind is there is no learning. That is information to your body. But वो वाली इंसान की बस लत लग गई. रात में बाथरूम जाने के लिए एक बार हॉटस्पॉट चेक कर लेते हैं. What for? But ये हो रहा है. So you have to consciously act on that. You have to awaken your inner Ram in this practical sense. बाबा जी के ज्ञान महिमा में रावण क्या है? The negative forces. What are the Ram, the positive forces within you? You have to awaken them to make yourself sustainable. You have to live long, to consume and enjoy all good things of the world. For that you have to be physically as well as mentally fit and healthy. Otherwise, all your needs have not been easy. So first thing, you have to use energy management. ये क्या है? So group activity होती है आपके प्रोजेक्ट में. 5-6 लोगों का ग्रुप बनता है. काम से 2 लोग करते हैं. समझाइए ना. और कई बार रोज की पूरी रात जबकि काम करता है. सही है ना? मॉर्निंग में फोन कर यार सारी रात मैंने काम किया. Get out of this trap. Rest is not a waste, it is an investment. So, conserve your energy to make yourself sustainable. You have to work hard, you have to work with mind. But don't do stupid things. आपको वो consciously सोचना पड़ेगा कि ये अब हमें नहीं करना है. You have to be able to because we have to sustain and survive for longer period. Otherwise, we burn out. Long run, ये सब terms आप सुनते होंगे. What is that? Okay, तो है. You don't have to run a sprint in life. 100 या 200 मीटर की दौड़ नहीं है. It's a marathon. If you learn at its stage how to manage your energy, you will consume for a long period with happiness. और इसे बात के वर्क फ्रंट पे नहीं है, आपके घर में और किसी भी फ्रंट पे जहाँ भी आप काम करें, this will be happy. Second thing is, you have to skill yourself in a sustainable way. अभी चीजें AI की बात की है, स्लो है, फास्ट है, बहुत सारी टेक्निकल चीजें आपको बताएं. So if you are focusing on the syllabus provided by this IITM and you are not looking beyond that syllabus, तो आपको भाई पीछे अभी छोड़ जाएगा. You have to upgrade yourself periodically. New skills, new values. तभी आप सस्टेन कर पाएंगे इस मार्केट. अदरवाइज फिर बर्नआउट. डिग्री आपको एंट्री देगी, स्किल्स अपग्रेडेशन आपको रिटेन करवाएंगे. हमारे इसको ध्यान से समझिए. तुम्हें क्या डिग्री करवाएंगे, तुम्हें क्या समझेंगे. You are retained in that organization or somewhere else. Even if you are doing your own business, you have to continuously upgrade your business or to ensure that your business or your family grows. So this was the second thing, skill sustainability.
लिंकिंग की तो हमारी लाइन का काम शुरू हो गया है सब लाइन छोड़ के जरा उसे टेक्नोलॉजी के क्या होता है ना इसके पीछे मत जाओ लिंकिंग में आओ वो सब वर्चुअल दुनिया में वो ही तो नहीं स्ट्रगल कर रहे हैं इन्होंने बीच में हाईलाइट की so you have to train yourself regularly, continuously, you won't get into the trap of this social media or virtual world. You are fear to the yeah, उसके लिए likes नहीं है. हाँ, you are suffering from the fear of losing out, FOMO. ये जा रहा है ना जिंदगी का, हाँ? भूल जाओ, FOMO कुछ नहीं है. वो सिर्फ बहुत है, बहुत है. Real world में आपको sustain करना है. If you are driven by your actions or driven by FOMO, you will burn out quickly. You will fall into a trap of mental illness. You will stop growing from that moment. You will stop evolving from that moment. Has to be avoided. You have to consciously work under mental stress. Otherwise, you can't make yourself sustainable. Sustainable का मतलब क्या है? टिकाऊ होना. तो टिके रहे. आईपीएल सभी देखने में मजा आता है. बर्नआउट बहुत टिकी है वहाँ. जो 20 साल तक टिका रह सकेगा वही विराट कोहली. So the look at that guy, how he maintains his physical and mental well-being. So let's say an example. I have seen a show on Virat Kohli on National Geographic channel. What makes a steel frame on? So we all can work on that to make yourself sustainable. आप कुछ भी कर सकते हो. वो शक्ति आपके भीतर है लेकिन उसको पहचान के उस पर वर्क करना पड़ेगा. Raw diamond never shines or flickers. तराशना पड़ता है. All our raw diamonds, believe in yourself. Work on area and keep on discussing with your peer group and family. शर्माने की कोई बात नहीं. क्या मुझसे नहीं हो पा रहा. मैं क्या करूँ, कैसे करूँ. Find out your strengths. सब में strengths की भरना हो. कि कभी मत सोचना कि आप कमजोर हो. आपने अपनी ताकत को पहचान कर उसके काम नहीं शुरू. That is the only difference. The day you start looking for your strengths and honestly recognizing your weaknesses, then working on that, you will continue to grow as a person. ये कोई rocket science नहीं है, continuous प्रक्रिया. It is applicable to all of us. एक कोर्स से इसका कोई लेना नहीं. You can see Amitabh Bachchan is still doing so much work, good work, lovable work at this age. He keeps on working on his strength. That's why he is working through that now, not with other peers. These are live examples. तो जैसे हम अपने environment को protect करने की बात कर रहे हैं, वैसे ही अपने आप को भी protect करने की आपको बात करनी पड़ेगी. सोचना पड़ेगा, चिंतन करना पड़ेगा, योजना बनानी पड़ेगी और उसके काम करना पड़ेगा. तभी आप सक्सेस, ग्रोथ और ये सब चीजें पा सकते. So you have to ask yourself, मैं क्या सिर्फ परफॉर्म कर रहा हूँ या मैं खुद को भी सस्टेन कर रहा हूँ. जो आप काम करें, अमित जी ने बोला कि वो काम आपको आनंद दे रहा है और आनंद फॉर्म्स का काम देगा जिसमें कुछ पर्पस होगा. You can ask your brother, code which I am doing, or the business as a manager which I am training or project. इससे इसका भला होगा या when you will come to know or to the sense that your one action is going to do so many people, this will motivate you. वो आपकी लैटर में नहीं हो जाएगा, आप कभी नहीं करना चाहिए. लेकिन सिर्फ ड्यूटी के लिए मात्र first you will burn out. You can't sustain. So you have to look for purpose in life, purpose in your project, purpose in your small work. If it is driven by some purpose, you will sustain. You will maintain good physical well-being, good mental well-being. So build sustainability, prepare for long, meaningful career, and if you sustain yourself, you sustain yourself. If you sustain yourself, you sustain. So, guys, stay balanced, keep going and shine. May God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And Kumar sir, I want to tell you one thing. In my entire lifetime, I have never heard such a big man saying that rest is not waste, it is an investment. And I think we all needed to hear that because we outdo ourselves, yes or no? But dear students, that doesn't mean that you're going to sleep all day, okay?
That will be another kind of waste.
Absolutely. Sir said this in the starting, but at the end, sir mentioned that if you sustain yourself, only then you're going to sustain the future. So keep that in mind as well. Thank you so much, sir. May I now request Dr. Monica Purishishra ma'am to kindly come forward and to present the memento to our esteemed guest, Sri Kumar Gurji. Give me a huge round of applause. And I'm sure that the audience will appreciate it. You may take your seats now. इसी सिलसिले को आगे बढ़ाते हुए मैं आमंत्रित करना चाहूंगी हमारे अगले स्पीकर को. I am delighted to welcome Mr. Anurag Chopra, Chartered Accountant with over 7 years of experience, specializing in a wide array of indirect taxation and regulatory laws such as GST, VAT, service tax, SEC, STPL. He has demonstrated skills to guide clients to navigate the tax and navigate to comprehensive advisory services, adept litigation support, and robust optimal outcomes. Let's welcome him with a huge round of applause.
covered have been in terms of the technology. Technologies, how do they enable the real life, how advanced they are getting, how do we need to ramp up our skills to go with the evolving world. And then the again algorithmic flower and the enneagram, how do we refer to each of them? And how do we kill the early one for giving the letter to the doctor? While we talk about all of them, one topic that comes to our mind is I happen to be a chartered accountant for my profession of lawyer. I along with me have my colleague, Sophie Gupta. She is a senior consultant at EY, Tax and Regulatory Services. We both work in the tax and regulatory services at EY. Given our domain, given our academic, learning, the next we could cover in the terms of sustainability is almost finance. When we talk about finance, one topic that comes to our mind is how to navigate the future. Is there a way that we can integrate sustainability into finance and economic resilience? When we talk about resilience, we need to firstly understand what is finance going to be for each of us. Is it only the numbers? If somebody can answer. Is finance only the numbers or is there something beyond that? But what exactly? Right, but how do you integrate that with just numbers and maybe go into something else? There's a common view that finance does not just measure the future, it decides it. It decides which way we are going, which industry would grow, where do we need to work. And if we lack somewhere, which one would fail? Because we didn't ramp up our skill sets. By we, I'm not just meaning the frameworks, I'm meaning the organizations, I'm meaning the industry. And if we by any stretch of imagination go there, the economies are. See the economies, we see our neighboring countries probably are struggling to get their deficits maintained. We see ourselves to be probably the highest growing economy so far globally. How does it happen? Because central government backed by the state governments and the core focus has been over the last 1.5 decades. We on to digitization. The ones who ramp up the skill, try, ones who do, clearly survive. When we discuss about sustainability in finance, we first need to understand what is the core agenda. When we talk about finance, we also try to understand, is it only maximization of profit that we are talking about? Because we need to create the wealth for the shareholders, right? But are shareholders the only stakeholders that we are talking about? Are some of the stakeholders as well beyond the shareholders in our business? Could we by some meaning include employees, government, society as well? What responsibility do we owe towards them? The goal is really simple. We just need to decide how finance works. Beyond that, we also need to understand what is finance and the people responsible for finance need to work towards. That is not clear in the number as we discussed. Also, the question arises, why is the sustainability part being integrated into finance? Before that, why is it integrated right now? Or has it already happened? If not, where are we right now? If we are already progressing, how far do we have to really go from there? Finance, traditionally, as I've already mentioned, focus on the shareholder value, maximize the profits and build thrive. Investors would follow your path, they'll pump in money into your business, you'll maybe generate the maximum ROI on your investments, whatever happens, and everybody is happy, they take their money home. But what remains is our commitment towards the society. Right? Our commitment towards the society. Is there stakeholder capitalism that is being ensured? When we talk about stakeholder capitalism, there are two words which are absolutely, absolutely contrary to each other. When we talk about the stakeholders does not always include shareholders, include people other elements as well as the multi-venture. But capitalism, because we are talking about sustainability. When we talk about sustainability, it largely indicates the direction to go towards social impact instead of capitalism. What we are trying to convey here as a message is, though value has to be created for all the shareholders. It has to be capitalistic in nature because not all the businesses are not for profit in their origins. Businesses are working for profit. Businesses have to survive, they have to thrive, but with responsibility. That's not what we're trying to convey here. The hesitation that is there in this entire shift is markets have the markets suddenly become ethical. By ethical, I mean to say, have we lost the plot? Are we really trying to focus on to some matters which are not really operationally excellent? Are we not trying to focus on to what gives me the best input versus output ratio? Or are we trying to plug in more renewable energy, maybe more ESG, environmentally, socially, government compliant factors here? What if my output goes down in terms of ratio? What if my profitability draws? With all of those factors, we are trying to convey sustainability is not only a moral concept. It is a risk factor involved. If you don't follow this into this time and age, you will lag behind, you will be out of business. That will be all forward. Now, since you have already started discussion on to why the need of this entire discussion is happening right now, we need to see where the journey has been of this entire topic. Journey, because how did the finance actually start? It started from traditional financing, right? Traditional financing, most of the decisions were made with the sole purpose of maximizing profit. Then, maybe a couple of decades earlier, there was a bit of snippet coming on to the ESG factors. It is not really happening. It is only the surface level that is. It is not really happening. It is only the surface level that is the charitable activities which are happening. Societal impacts are really not good. Environment is degrading. Climates are not working out. How do we indicate that? And then came a sudden turn into the investors' mindset. They started focusing onto the businesses which were compliant with the ESG factors. ESG factors as in they were focusing more to pumping their money on the businesses which were compliant towards the society, towards the environment, towards the governance. They were following the ethical practices. Brings me back to the earlier question. The contrary nature of both the two terms integrated together, stakeholder capitalism. That is why I mentioned those are not really contrary, those appear to be the one. We are talking about capitalism, not a socialism. What we are trying to convey as a message is, if you do not follow the social aspect of your business, of your society, you put out your businesses that affects your capital nature of the business. Also, if we talk about the stage that we currently are, entirely the green bonds, social impact bonds, and the sustainable lending. If we put all of these things together, the entire theme is money is being pumped into renewable sector, money is not being pumped into the sectors which are creating pollution, which are not sustainable, which are not climate positive. That's it. In your bonds, green bonds are nothing, but the bonds, the debt structures, I think you guys are from MBAs and BBA courses, and you guys will understand what that is. That is a shape of lending, let's say, lending and borrowing. Money is getting to the pockets who are focusing. If you talk about certain industries in India, and this give you a quick reference, and Tony Waste, you all may please go back to your home. Some of you will already know there are certain organizations working already humorously in that into this industry of waste management. One of the industries is Anthony Waste. I don't know if it is fine to put the names here, but still. Anthony Waste is an industry. You have seen how the markets have gone down over the past cycle. This industry, this organization has got listed through IPO, Initial Public Offering, back in 2021. Their stock price has surged at least 4 to 5 times over the cycle of 5 years. And you might have certain other examples from the IT sector as well. Others too, where the surge would have been more. But this is a little more rational and a little more logical. Because they weren't selling a theme. They were selling a pattern, they were selling the future here. They were selling waste management has to be into a sustainable way. The existing models of societal damage for recycling waste will not scalable for the coming decades, coming future. And if we talk about the numbers as well, where is the sustainable development, sustainable finance, sustainable investment quantum the figures going? It is upwards of the economy of China, the Republic of China put together. And second to only the economy of the United States of America. If somebody can guess the number, it is upwards of $35 trillion. If you take the comparison with the economy of India, it is 8.5 times of what economy of India today is. 8.5 times. And I am just talking about the numbers which are perfect towards sustainable investments globally. A huge chunk of it would come to India as well in the coming years. We are expecting a great portion of it to be further propagated to the economy of India by the earliest year of 2030. Also, if we see how do the stock prices, because we are talking about capitalism, we maybe would be concerned about the finances. How exactly the stock prices, the shareholders' wealth, get impacted for the organization which are into the direction of sustainability. They are, as per the stats available, they are 40% less volatile compared to the organizations which are not. What do you mean by it? If your main index of Nifty has gone 30-40% down, Bank Nifty has gone maybe 80-90% down. Small caps, mid caps have further been tracked down to a largest level. Some of it has been recovered over the past couple of years, the fortnight back. If we talk about it, we will see most of the shares which have brought down were not inclined towards sustainability. The ones which were, they were laggards into their drawdown and the upbeats when the uptick happened. Upbeats is the uptick as in when the recovery happened, they will touch their new highs. They scaled new peaks. That did happen to the economies, that did happen to the organizations which were aligned to the thought, which were in line with the thought. Why? Because the government is also promoting the scheme. We just covered that up in the latest slides by Bollywood government. What we are trying to convey is capital is no longer chasing any return. It is just chasing the resilience. This topic is not a niche right now. It is a need of the hour. It has to be followed. It has to be compliant with enough governance in place. Core focus being there. You can't just choose an option of doing it today for the sake of doing it. If you comply with it completely, great. If you don't, you lose the track. Once you lose the track, the world is moving at the fastest pace possible. As we already covered by my former auditors here, if we don't speed up, if we don't track what is the speed, we are left behind, and once we are left behind, very difficult to catch up. Next part that I like to cover is ESG reporting and financial performance. I've already covered a bit of it, but still, if you look at the mechanics of how sustainability translates into tangible value, we'll see there's a lot of professional intervention here. Historically, ESG was selling to the marketing department. They were just selling fantasy, dreaming stories. They were telling us, okay, so we'll adopt a forest, we'll adopt a village, we'll probably launch a hydro project somewhere. Maybe we convert our plant into solar effective, solar enabled plant. Those things work because those were lending the substance. We need an integrated environment where all the factors are met. If something is not met, we are behind. What is happening now? We have to be poetic in our nature. We can't just sell the story to a footnotes of our financial statements. Provision 135 of the company's law. I don't know how much you are aware. There's a provision 135 to provide for a certain amount of CSR, corporate social responsibility related funds to be allocated by an organization, which are beyond a particular threshold. Thresholds are the nature of net profits as well as the turnover. If you cross a certain threshold, you are supposed to contribute something towards the CSR. The law has been poorly drafted for the longest time. I come from the law background, my colleague too, but we still feel it that way. The law has been poorly drafted to some an extent. Why? Because when you put these kind of ownerships onto the businesses, the enterprises, what you tend to do is, given the environment those are, given the growth capitalism that's happening, what you tend to do is, you have to back them up with a punitive action. Punitive action is the punishment. If you do, nobody will follow. That's what is happening. Also, you have to keep a check on regular audits. Those fundamentals will never belong to the provision. A single provision that is here without the punitive actions, without the provisions of audit, who's going to follow? Nobody. That's what has happened. And when we talk about it, what has happened is blessing from the disguise of the lendings have happened. The investors started showing their interest onto businesses which were sustainably operating, which were friendly onto these natures, and pulling out their money, pulling out as they were exiting the businesses which were not. This is what has happened, and now government has started putting more focus on the businesses. They are already working on the newer policies which are more compliant, where there are stricter mechanisms to make this happen. If not, the actions, corrective actions from the enterprises side, how do they happen? Also, there's a new requirement to put all of these figures, not just into the footnotes of your balance sheets and the financial statements signed by the auditor, but a clear mandate. If you don't, what happens? And if the figures are not realistic, what happens? Third, the clear mechanics of how do you put these numbers? How do you calculate these? There are no fanatics there are no whims and fancies there. You can't just go ahead and calculate a number which is on a random ad hoc basis and you don't have a basis for it. You just say, okay, I find it to be this way, I put you to put it this way. No, absolutely not. There are clear mechanics being defined. How do you go ahead and put these numbers? If you don't comply, then you answer. If you don't, then you face the revolution. Also, it is not so beyond this point, where my colleague will cover for the later part of the discussion. When you have better data, what happens is you have better control. When you have better control, somebody can see what exactly are the figures quoted, what exactly are the numbers quoted by you. Because these are not just numbers, don't see them as data. These are real life examples of how a business is envisioning themselves to be. When they envision themselves to be a particular way and they go follow with their actions, there have to be certain implications. Implications have to be in the nature of corrective and relevant. Also, they show how best your commitment is being followed by your actions, by your operations. You can't just say, okay, I installed a solar plant somewhere in X factory of mine, but operate with this station which is not environment friendly. You don't do that. You don't work into an unintegrated manner anymore. This is what we are trying to convey. If you want to access to a cheaper capital going forward, if you want better access to the borrowings, if you want lesser intervention from the regulators, if you want greater support from the government, better we all in terms of enterprises comply with the ESG mechanism, drive our businesses towards a sustainable operation, and finance as a function in every business plays a great role. You guys would in some part of your life very soon qualify from here, move towards your occupations, which would be a professional to some extent and towards enterprising, towards the other part. By and large, everything is an enterprise, so let's call it as a startup or maybe an industry or somebody would join the family. In all of those, nobody would be out the loop. Whosoever, howsoever, in whatever scale, if they do not follow, they would be out of it. So cover yourself up quite quickly, learn about what sustainability actually means. While I'm saying this, learn about sustainability, you all would identify a lot of opportunities which you could capture into this domain. MBAs, BBAs, management guys are the extreme favorable profiles who are fanatics of any subject they want towards. My colleague would cover the later portion of the
Like we have all discussed about what is sustainable finance, what exactly is sustainability, and all. Can anyone tell me what exactly is financial risk? Like, what do you know about financial risk? Anyone? don't invest in stock markets, nothing. Seems like no one invests in stock markets. Financial risk is something like you are having a risk over the finance like risk, right? But right now, what we say is climate risk is also financial risk. Like the climate risk is a gray line which is chasing all of us, but we are not focusing on it. We are ignoring that. Climate risk can be the three types of risk, like it is physical risk, it is transition risk, and it is standard risk. The physical risk is the floods, the floods, and the fire which we see that actually causes the damages. The transition risk is the risk which is the risk due to the momentum from one stage to another, like the transition from the old age to the new age, evolution of AI. That is the transition. And standard asset is something which you can say is the asset which is present, the factory, the companies which is present, but they are actually not valued. Like if someone in the evolving age of AI, if someone doesn't know AI, that person can be termed as a standard asset, and a person, a human being with a full equipped AI knowledge will be the person doing it. So these are certain kinds of risks which are chasing us. Climate risk, you cannot just associate that with the environment. This has an impact on financial positions as well. So we have to take care and we have to keep them in mind while we are discussing or while we are investing in our sustainable finance solutions. So this is something the company should think about and we as a student should also think about. And going ahead, when we talk about the investment, we definitely comes about the economic resilience, the ability to absorb what exactly is going in the environment, like the ability. You know, everyone knows about the Ukraine, US and Iran war. Like ma'am talked about the recent strategy. Fine. And we all know about the data sector which has been evolving over the period. The US Ukraine Iran war has actually led us the closure of Strait of Hormuz, which is leading to a deficiencies of major oils and reserves, and that ultimately is impacting our farmers, our food industry in California. The restaurants are closing and everything is closing. At that point of time, we all should have something that we can absorb that. We actually can go above it and know how we can overcome this. That is called an economic resilience. And when we go about the data centers, how many of you know like what it takes? Like data center is something that is very good for our economy, but actually it is causing a problem for our sustainable renewable energy. Anyone knows about it? Yeah. Exactly. So the water and the renewable resources which are used for building up this data center, there are 50x more than building just a one building. Like you can understand how much our renewable resources are being used here. So that is something we have to look into while we are making an investment anywhere in our by the company. So talking about the investment, if I go ahead and say what exactly the alternative investment opportunities are there for the companies, what we should do, like what is something we should focus on. So the investment can be of three positions, like the circular economy, or we can say about the risk diversification and the local production. So the circular economy, everyone would be aware of exactly the circular economy. That is something you can reuse, renew, recycle. Like just give you an example here. I was on a coffee with my friend, and I just used this wooden sterilizer for like mixing up my sugar. But my friend specifically asked the waiter to give her a steel spoon so that she can use it for sterilizing her sugar. And that spoon can be washed and used again. That is something a thinking is changing. That is something we should think and invest in. That's circular economy. We should not just think about the financial impact, that if something is causing a less cost, then we should invest in that. We should think how much benefit it will give in the future. So if so that the cost efficiency and risk reduction strategies are right now what we are thinking of, and we should
do you mean by the risk diversification? Like I'm hardly believing someone knows that because people don't know what financial risk is. Sorry? Right, exactly. So different stocks may invest recognize your diversification. For sustainable future, diversification is like diversifying towards the future risk. The major risk you have, the climate risk, the physical risk, financial risk, what all risk you have, keep in mind and invest accordingly. Diversify your investments in the renewable energies, in the clean technologies. Build up a business which will actually help you for the future and not just for a temporary period of 5 year or 10 year plan. And then if we say about the local production is actually a shift from just in time to just in case, as I'm saying. Don't just think about the temporary period, think about the future. What exactly are you building? Think, invest with the mindset that what exactly are you responsible for? What are you building? And not just the economic benefits you are deriving from your investment. So earlier companies used to optimize the lower cost. They used to do the global sourcing and minimal inventory thing. But right now they are actually creating a localized manufacturing, regional supply chains and sustainable domestic production so that they can have a benefit in the future. This actually reduces localized manufacturing actually reduces the logistic risk, the delayed cost. And this is something which this helps them while they are doing their day-to-day businesses. So let me put this simply, efficiency minimizes the cost, but resilience protects our survival in the future. So the survival is something you should keep in mind while doing any kind of investing. And
I would just like to add on one point here. It is talking about told everything. While we are talking about local production here, there is a philosophy that really being followed right from the longest time is just in time. The theory which has been in practice for operations being just in time. As and when the order comes in, we source the raw material, it could be domestic, it could be from the cross-border frontiers, as in international. We source them, we collect them, we process them, manufacture them, and then supply them to our customers. Now, for the recent 4-5 years, and that is on as per the prediction by the kind of global expert here. As per the prediction, these global disruptions, call it economy-related wars, or call it social wars, civil war, whatever. These have happened for the last 4-5 years, started from largely from the countries of Ukraine versus Russia, now being followed by Israel, by the tripartite largely war, Israel, Iran, and I don't know why, followed up by USA. I am still figuring out why did USA even intervene largely, but still. All this has been done. The pressure that has been created on the economies which have been dependent for decades, for centuries maybe, for certain products, call it as crude oil, call it petroleum, call it some other grains. We are largely the food grain exporter, but certain grains are getting imported. Call it some other raw materials, maybe soda ash from China, like oil. These have become a core scarcity. See what is happening into the paints industry, see what is happening into the FMCG, see what is happening into hospitality industry, followed by what is happening into the restaurant industry. Now you are not able to get a chapati there. They are telling you there is no conveyance operation, they only cover. That's what I'm trying to convey the message. Let's try to aim ourselves to transition from just in time to just in case. Just in case a global disruption happens, how do we have a backup continuity plan? What kind of backup continuity plan do we have? Do we have a survival plan B? If not, maybe build up your facilities here. If not, maybe work towards getting self-reliant, self-sufficient. Because otherwise, the possibilities of businesses shutting down, economies suffering is really, really high. Given the probabilities and the matrices going right now. So that's what I just wanted to that makes sense.
so when we discuss about why and what we have to invest in, that the next question comes up, how do we banking systems as well integrated with us. Like the sustainable banking is something that technology enabled accountability, which is turning the sustainable from profits into a verifiable practice. Like if you guys are aware about the blockchain and FP and the smart contracts, these are some instruments that are helping in the system, wherein like blockchain and the decentralized finance is something actually helps the investors to do the end-to-end tracking of the green funds. Like if they put something in the green bonds, the blockchain ensures that those funds are mathematically traceable to the specific renewable projects. Remove the black box of the traditional banking and replace it with the total transparency. The transparency is actually relevant for everything while we are doing the banking system. And the smart contracts, like when we talk about the transparency, the question comes to the contract part. Like is the contract actually viable? Is this something, is the contract something that we should rely upon? So the smart contract actually answers that question. The smart contract is something, an impact linked interest rates, if you are aware of that. The impact linked interest rate, what they do is, like if you invest in something ESG's markets, like you invest in like you invest in something the green bonds, then that will ultimately sense up and your interest rate for procuring a loan on a future period that will get reduced. So that is something a smart contract helps you in. And this AI has actually helped us to have a trust reduction verification. Like the finance is something wherein we have for high financial, like highly verified accounts we have to take care of. Like we do audits, we do due diligences for getting a trust over someone's contract or someone's financial wealth. But the AI, which actually gives us the verified documents, verified results, has actually helped us to reduce this trust cost and trust issues which everyone has over the industry. Then coming up to what exactly is the AI and data-driven intelligence in finance. Like this is actually the intelligence layer which we are going to discuss. AI is an engine of insight. Like the blockchain is actually the truth of the ledgers. AI is the engine of the insight to that ledger. It gives you the data, it gives you the inputs that actually helps to get the output. It does the real-time risk monitoring. It do mapping scope 3 emissions and solving greenwashing paradox. Like just to touch upon the point, real-time risk monitoring is something our Internet of Things senses help with. Like if you are investing something in your company for the benefit of the future that are sustainable resources, then that interest of things will actually help you to directly link it with the detected risk, and that will help you in becoming reducing your financial liabilities in the future. And mapping scope 3 emissions, it is actually measuring the entire Indian global supply chain used for the guesswork. Today, predictive analysis allows a precision measure giving us a clear map of company's entire carbon footprint. And going ahead about the greenwashing paradox is actually we are finally moving away from the self-disclosed data, which is often biased, and AI is allowing us to do the transition to the verified real-time evidences, which help us to take a better decisions.
By greenwashing paradox, all that we are trying to convey here is numbers have been told, stories have been created, dreams have been sold in the past. Nothing worked out. There was a clear demand from all the stakeholders, not just shareholders, all the stakeholders. How do we trust it? Organizations were putting in every detail, cause their deep pockets, nothing coming out to be true. Now, over the period, AI has evolved, intelligence has ramped up, automation has gone up. Now you scan numbers, now you check facts, now you give the truest picture possible, as sir has already mentioned, Abhijit has already mentioned. Now you see what is true, what is not, into a fraction of a minute, fact check and then proceed. This is how AI and data-driven intelligence is helping us. And this entire effect of taking the truth, verifying the data, auditing it, submitting a report, so that somebody as a stakeholder relies on it, takes an action which makes it a little safeguarded to maybe conserve their capital for measuring the least of it. This entire theory is known as greenwashing paradox. Paradox because those were the deficiencies in the system. Greenwashing because green is the impact of renewable energy. Washing as in how do you clear that mess up?
And moving ahead, like Anurag has already mentioned about the corporate social responsibility, the CSR expense which all the companies are mandatorily required to. So earlier what CSR used to be, it was just a mandate which companies used to spend on. That was just something which they were doing as a mandatory requirement. They were just that was just an expense for them. But right now that's an investment as they are involving towards the sustainability. They have actually taken up the strategic decisions right now, which have the financial impact in future. The sustainable decisions. We were talking about the alternative investments earlier. This shift has basically have a business impact on them. Like beyond the immediate tax and cost benefits, they are having a brand value and the customer retentions right now. Like if you have two options, one company is actually causing it harm, like for suppose you are the resident of a particular society and just by your side there is a factory. That factory is emitting pollution at a large extent. You would not be using its goods, right? Probably that would be an essential good, but you would not be in favor of using that company's goods. Rather, you would like to use the goods of some other factory which is far distant from you and using the sustainable resources. That is something a business impact is having on the sustainable investments. And if we talk about the Indian context and strategic shift, like the 2% spending investment has actually been shifted from the mandatory requirement to the future investment. And the future investment when we are talking about, the government is also focusing on giving that benefits to the companies. Like the government has provided us multiple incentives and regulations are also there. So we can call it as a carrot and a stick theory, where we are having incentives along with this.
Is anybody aware of this theory known as carrot and stick? It largely is in the nature of reward management, where you just put on some kind of maybe a horse and then just run off catching the carrot and stick, talking everybody able to give the signals, parallel. What happens in the world of finance is we use carrot and stick for something else. Where instead of scaling somebody, you just need to see the finance world is changing rapidly. Earlier it was financial, now it is nearly government. That is how the world wants it. So this world is also being run by the financial sector. They would never want to do financial. They want to do something bad, something wrong. All the next they would want is to be appropriately governed and they be the ones, the biggest stakeholders in their own lives, your enterprises. You want to catch it up the fastest you can even imagine of. That is what this entire theory is. Carrot and the stick. When we talk about carrots, we talk about incentives. Incentive as in what exactly is the government doing for the businesses, for the enterprises, for the organizations which are working towards and for the objective of sustainability. There are tax holidays being announced in the recent hearing budget 2026-27, which is for the largest period up to 2047. This has never been done in the past. A tax holiday for a straight period of 21 years. A straight period to the foreign investments. Then there are massive PLI schemes already going on, mostly towards the sectors that are using spicy seeds, which were not that sustainably compliant. But now they have pushed the incentives towards the industries like EV battery manufacturing. The entire objective are getting, instead of proven through the action levels of the government. Objectives are clear, focus is clear, directives are clear. Follow them and you have the effect. Thirdly, there are data centers. Data centers are though very, very important for also maintaining the global disruptions as a backup monetary plan into the geographies which are a bit new to them, at least as of today. But we also have to see the amount of energy, as President mentioned. They do consume the energy which is multi-x of what another industry would. A building would probably consume 50x of the energy that such a building was. If that is being turned towards a sustainable environment, you can imagine a win-win for all the possibilities. Centers being built, employment being drawn, capital coming in, profitability being drawn, followed up and backed up by sustainability. See, it's a win-win for everybody. That is how we want to be also predicting the assignments. And hopefully we will succeed as well. There are not data center related work that we are also doing. Let's see how it pans out because the investments are minor. We are in multi-billions right now. And we talk about the dollar. Then we talk about the state. State your business responsibility and sustainability reporting. You report all the numbers sustainably. You report all the numbers rightly, duly, verifiable. You take the onus, you self-assess them, do not get audited every now and then. As good as you are not being audited for your income tax return and your GST returns. You fill your GST returns on a monthly, quarterly, and annual frequency. You fill in your ITR income tax returns on an annual frequency. Not every officer comes to your doorsteps every year. They check this scrutinize, if they find something fishy, they come to your portal, send a notice, and it is being transitioned to a faceless environment. Why? Because digitalization is being focused on to and an element of trust is being built up wherein the first hand has been extended by the government. In order to shake the hands, it is a responsibility of organizations now to take up the role. Also global standards. There are certain standards known as ISSB. Why these standards are being implemented into the Indian economy? Because the objective remains simple. Most of you would have heard there has been a pump out of FII money for institutional investors. They pump in a lot of money into the economy. Almost all the economies run basis largely the amounts the funds pumped in by FIIs and FPIs, portfolio investors and institutional investors. They have been pumping the money out of Indian economy because there were no leverages given to them, there were no leverage given to them, there were no add-on benefits. Whatever period you have given it this speed, whatever period you pulled out to brought back the returns, they pulled out their money. Now we are also focusing on to governance, we are focusing on to IISB standards, which are international standards. We are saying that okay, we are complying with incentives are there, regulatory issues will be drawn. We are moving from the objectives of governance, of punishment to governance. Everything seems to be the same. Please come back. That is how the objectives seem like, and hopefully they are going to build up a lot of investment. See, nobody current decade, starting from 2025 to 2035, is being projected to be a decade having a transition from the field of tertiary sectors, which is largely service oriented. I come from the service oriented sector. I'm equally scared maybe, but the transition is very, very foreseeable. It's going to happen from the services sector to the manufacturing. Core focus of the government stays there. All the PLIs, all the state incentives, all the institutional investments, all the industrial policies, local level, everything largely is being focused towards the manufacturing sector. Focus on those sectors and better possibilities and better probabilities of thriving. At last, since we've already covered why, what, how, who, and when of sustainable finance, who covers what, when, and how, we would also like to focus what are the action points immediately to capture. Firstly would be strategic integration. CSR, no more strategic finance, no more is a function only of the finance profile of an organization. It has to become a topic of your boardrooms. I talk about boardrooms because there is the only place where you make key decisions, where you make a decision which has an organization-wide impact. Sustainability is not a binary, it is a core, it is a island. Otherwise, there is no growth. You will be obsolete. Focus on it. Sustainability, when integrated into core business strategy, makes you have an edge upon your competitors. If you don't, they'll have it. Back in internal carbon pricing for CFOs, for CEOs, for all the C-suite of a business, they have to know carbon pricing management is a valid tool. You have to fix a schedule price for carbon. You can all evaluate the short-term benefits, but those don't go a long way unless you have a vision for a decade, for a couple of decades. Decades would only assist the organizations which are carbon negative work towards it. I am not talking particularly about the service industry, but manufacturing ones have to have a core focus shifted towards it. The earlier the better. Sustainable supply chain. We already discussed carbon negativity. We would also see a lot of news which talk about net zero commitments onto the carbon emission. That is a thing of the past to be very transparent here. Now organizations globally have started talking about positive on that front, not even negative. Positive. Everybody wants to go towards a scale where they sell their carbon. That's a different business altogether. Work towards it. Because when you align your supply chains, you showcase your commitment. You work with your stakeholders, with your vendors, with your customers, who are equally aligned with your thought as the sustainable business operations could be. Lastly, there are tax efficiencies, production linked speed, there are raw matrices, there are tax holidays, etc. etc. Work towards them. Have those government is sitting to give you the benefits. They are more than happy to work with you. A lot of liaising has happened. I myself am doing. A lot of liaising has happened at the government offices. No policy is being launched as a statute. Every policy is flexible. Every policy is being molded to the requirements of the enterprises. To showcase and the vision, back it up with real verifiable data. They'll do whatever it takes for you to work towards. At large, what happens in an industry is the amount of money you pump in vis-a-vis what ROI you generate. That also depends how cheaper access to capital you have. When that happens, we also have to focus on the banking and financial services institutions. They are really focusing on the organizations which are carbon negative, which are sustainable in their operations. For me to give an example, recently an organization clocked 10% reduction in their carbon emission. That helped them reduce their borrowing rate by 50 basis points. 50 basis points for everybody's clarity is half a percentage. Half a percentage on multi-hundreds of crores make quite a difference in your cost efficiencies. With all this said and done, I wish you all a very growth, what do you say, prosperous and fruitful career. Lead towards it, but keep in mind the directions we have to be following are very clear. Go towards the greener effect journey would be a lot easier than otherwise. That's it from our side, which was to be sporty.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anurag and Ms. Putty. Now we mentioned a lot of things regarding the Gen Z. Let's have your attention back. Can I have your attention, please? All the students at the back. Okay, I'll ask you one simple question. You have a choice, you have two options. Would you rather choose a future which has no plastic in it or a future which has no Wi-Fi? Okay, let's raise our hands. No Wi-Fi, please vote. Would you survive without a Wi-Fi? Yes or no? Would you survive without no plastic? But see, we have to choose our priorities accordingly. Moving on, we are honored to welcome our keynote speaker, Dr. Bharat Singh Thapa, who is joining us online for the conference. Sir is an assistant professor at the Department of Management, Tribhuvan University, Nepal. He has extensive academic and professional experience in finance management and sustainable development with teaching involvement spanning 2 decades. Internationally, he is associated with the University of Padova, Italy, and serves on the academic board of a joint PhD program. He has published numerous papers and in journals and has actively involved conference as a speaker, presenter, and session chair. He is also a recipient of the South Asian Emerging Scholar Award. Let's welcome Sir online with a huge round of applause.
Sige kami bilang.
Okay, thank you, Nihal, for informing us quite particular with that presentation. First of all, I'd like to thank IITM, the director, for choosing our institution, School of Management University, Faculty Department, as a collaborator for this international conference on a very important topic, very important shift of the sustainability or end-to-end sustainability. So, thank you very much, and thank you very much for having me also. So it's really my privilege to discuss on the day, which is not only academically important, but also fundamentally it is transformative. So let me so as I was talking about like the agenda that the conference actually is really important, not academic but also it's a really practical and it's a university. For example, we will be throughout the conference dealing with the basic agenda of innovation, growth, sustainability, and equity. So though the equity is not cost much in this conference, but I thought like to bring this into picture so that like in the conference we can have some insights which definitely will help like to make this world better place. So broadly, I will be focusing on these 5 agenda and one basically for way forward by the leading some questions, which I think conference will try to explore like just beginning with the leading to the growth or sustainable growth. So I will talk about growth, sustainable growth from the theoretical perspective and from the practical perspective as well. Then the second agenda that I'm talking about is briefly I will is the innovation equity paradox. Then after like I talk about the pathways to inclusive growth, basically I have There were two cases, one from the developed economy, like Denmark, and another case from Kenya, like developed economy. And then I will talk about, the role of AI or agentic AI as an enabler for the next gen inclusive growth. Then there are certain risks, emerging risks, including the geopolitical and the fragmented growth. So which I will talk to briefly, and let's look like how we can, cope up with this and how we can develop our economy more resilient towards these type of results or these type of risks. And finally, I'll be raising three major questions, so which will be helpful for having the conference or for setting a tone in the conference. Okay, basically, when you talk about the growth, innovation actually leads to the productivity and the business performance, and then after, it will enhance the investment in employment, and finally the economic growth. So this is the general, you can say, understanding of the innovation leading the growth through the various channels. So here, the major goal here is the economic growth through the innovation. But the real question is that the growth for who, right? So growth for, what purpose? So that is what is the major question that we must think about. So the growth is the outcome of the innovation, which is emphasized also by the European Central Bank, where they have mentioned that increasing productivity, increasing GDP requires a lot of innovation or a lot of investment, R&D, and knowledge creation in the technology industry. Now, in recent past, like in last year only, the Nobel Prize in economic science was awarded to three economic scientists called Mohir, Adrian, and Awit. So they were awarded this Nobel Prize for their contribution in achieving the sustainable growth, or you can say the sustained growth through the innovation and technological innovation, or you can say creative disruption. So this has also proved that technological innovation or innovation leads to the growth. So there are certain mechanisms, for example, the enabling conditions, including the knowledge, human capital, institutional and policy, financial system, market condition, technological diffusion infrastructure. So with this, we can lead to the sustained growth. So this is an important insight that we can find from their work in their framework. So the innovation basically fuels the growth, but also there are certain other questions that that are not answered, which is related to the instability and the inequality through this type of growth. Now let's look into that paradox. Innovation, it will be paradox. So innovation that drives the growth, but its benefits are unevenly distributed among the people, right? So that widens the income gaps, job polarization, and the sector concentration. So that means, basically, the innovation is benefiting for the high skilled or high skilled people workers rather than the low skilled workers. So the low skilled jobs, or you can say the really skill requirement jobs, so they decline, and the high skill job they increase it. That ultimately leads to unequal distribution of the benefit, or you can say the outcome of the innovation. So which we can call the innovation equity paradox. So that means more growth leads to more inequality, right? So which is really you can see the dark side of innovation. Now that we need to address. But some of the countries, like developed countries and then the developing countries, through their policy, they have made some change and some positive transformation from innovation by minimizing it's a negative tools of inequality. For example, the Denmark, right? So Denmark, we can see the decoupling growth from the carbon. So since 1990s, their policy led to high economic growth, like green policy, their green policy led to high economic growth, as well as the decline in the CO2 emission. So we can see around 70% or 70-80%, 70 to be precise, an increase in the GDP growth since 1990 and decline, 46% decline in carbon emissions. So that has helped actually for these kind of countries to enhance their climate impact scope or climate impact performance. Another case is from the developing economy in Africa. Kenya has made a lot of change by using the M-Pesa, which is a model for many of the African countries or even the Asian countries. They are also following this idea of M-Pesa. So this has changed the lifestyle of the poor or excluded people. Around 34 million, over 34 million people, they are included in the formal financing in the channel. So that has made a lot of change with the traditional banking could not. So that has increased the access, reduced the cost, and formalize the informal economy. So that means that this innovation has led the inclusive growth. It has included so many people in the benefit of it. Now I would like to mention the idea of the organization as a sustained growth, or you can say the sustainable future, next generation sustainable future, by enhancing the capacity of the women rather than just looking into the GDP or just economic growth only. So we need to go beyond the GDP, beyond the economic growth. We need to look into how we have changed the lifestyle of people, or their education, their health, their participation, or we can say their freedom to choose or participate and innovate. So that will help actually in the equitable and inclusive growth. So expanding human capabilities is very important, not just increasing the income. That should be defined as a, you can say, the sustainable growth, or the equitable growth. Now, I would like to put forward 5 pillars for the inclusive growth. They include the digital public infrastructure, then green innovation technology, human capital transformation, policy, then inclusive startup ecosystem, and the policy as a platform. So these are the 5 major pillars of the inclusive growth, or you can say sustained growth, sustainable future, and which would be equitable, resilient, and of course, future ready. So for that, the role of the agency is really, really important. The agency includes the government, the citizen or communities, private sector, academia, researcher, development partners. So their role is really, really important, basically reducing inequality and participating in the increasing income or productivity, and making the economy more resilient, empowering people, and of course, to reduce the conflicts and increase the social harmony. Now, AI and agentic AI, it has really enabled the economic growth if it is used in a proper way. Because we cannot ignore AI and agentic AI as a great technology, right? That is invented at present, right? So this AI has a lot of good aspects, and there are certain aspects which we also need to take care of. But as a policy, policymaker or government, they must think it as an opportunity. Though it is replacing the job, right, and it is concentrating the power, but it can also expand the access, and it can also personalize the services and empower the others of people. So we can use in the 5 different pillars that I have already mentioned this AI for leveraging. It's a benefit to all, not only for like some one the group of the people, rather for all. For example, we can use it for health for all, education for all, finance for all, and a lot of the activities which are carried out by the marginalized people or the people who live poverty line. Now, I would mention again like the recent ongoing geopolitical tension and wars in various parts of the world, including the Russian side, Russia, Ukraine, or US-China tension, or something recently we all are facing, the problem related to the trade or food or energy, right? Definitely this type of the geopolitical tension and war that has the possible, negative impact in the inclusive growth. So that may arise, that if that is not addressed properly, that may rise, the inequality, job loss, and the informalities, increase the living standard, increase the living cost of the people, and disrupt our education, our skill, or weaken our health outcomes, and climate, the store of climate action, social unrest, and definitely that will ultimately, hamper our, target of achieving SDG 2030. So this is the ongoing, phenomena, and we don't know like how much severe the lead it is going to affect our economy, our the business, our society, but definitely it is making disturbance in our daily activities and every aspect of our life. So we must think about this also while talking about inclusive growth in the future. Now, with this, I would leave these 3 questions. So I hope these critical questions will be discussed throughout this conference. The first one is that can innovation-led growth be scaled without structurally widening inequality? So how can we, the policymaker or market actors, they simultaneously, they accelerate the growth, innovation, and make it go to the society. And the second question is that what institutional architecture is required to convert the growth into freedom expansion? So that is another important question, like how, what kind of enablers do we need, like for converting the growth into, the freedom expansion or capacity enhancement, or freedom to choose, our own, you can say, destiny. And the third important question is that in a fragmented geopolitical landscape, how can countries safeguard inclusive growth? So this is again important question that I would like to meet with this conference. And with this, I would like to thank the organizer for providing this opportunity and collaborating with such an important, events and with such a great institution, IITM. So I would like to thank its director, especially like Raymond, who connected our institution to these 2 institutions. Thank you very much. And if there are any questions, I will be happy for answers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your words of wisdom. I now request Dr. Monica, I now request Devi Sharma ma'am our last but not the least speaker for the day, Dr. Ursula Wioska, a global banking and finance expert with over 25 years of rich experience in retail banking. She has been at the forefront of transforming financial in Africa and North America, serving as an expert with Chartered Bank Institute. She is a member of the Harvard Business Review Advisory Council and being nominated to the G100, reflecting her global recognition and influence. Beyond her professional achievements, she is a strong advocate for women's empowerment, actively contributing to international initiatives and participating in platforms such as United Nations Forum. We welcome you, ma'am. Please enrich us with your words of wisdom. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I hope that everybody can hear me well now. I'm trying to put on my presentation. I hope that you can see it well. So, I think everything is well. Okay. Can you see everything properly? I want to be sure that everything is working well. Yes. Okay. My voice, I understand that everybody will make my voice not here. But now, I hope not better. Thank you. Well, I think we found some issue with my camera. Oh, second. Please give me a moment. Right? I would like you to see me and I would like to hear me very well. So maybe I will start. One moment. Okay, I will do it again because I think that transmit well. Okay, I think that the camera is working well now, and I will turn my presentation again. Okay. Okay, and I'm sure everything will go well. Okay, I think we are ready. Can you see everything well? Please confirm because now I can see the screen. I can see you. You can see only me. So please let me know if everything is fine now. I think I look at the screen and I see that you can see my face. Can you see my face? I'm sorry, but I want to be sure that everything is working well. Okay. Can you hear me well? Please let me know if that's going well. Give me one moment because I think that there's something. Yes, okay. Because on my side, I think that I got done. Okay. So let's start. I would like to welcome you. Good morning, and thank you very much for the invitation for this very important conference. I'm very happy I'm here because today I would like also to talk about something very important, one about technology. And the main topic that I'm thinking of the conference is technology. But this time I don't want to talk about more about the technology. More I would like to discuss about the economy. I would would like to talk about the economic space, because I'm sure that you agree with me that when we talk about the technology, when we talk about sustainability, we can't do it if we don't have, if we don't educate people very well, if we don't support them in understanding them, the sustainability. And that's why I want to share with you, I want to discuss with you what is important, how to make the sustainability, how we can make it that it will be more, people will understand it better, what we can do, what technology we can use, technology that will help us to educate people better, and at the same time, when we educate people better, people at the same time will be able to work on the technology, to understand sustainability, people will be more engaged, and people will be able to answer the question, okay, so now I know what is sustainability, now I know how sustainability will have positive impact on my life. I'm trying to go on the next slide. I don't know what the time with my presentation. Okay, that's fine. It's very strange if I can switch my slides. I think it's working. Okay. I'm sorry, I need to stop sharing the screen because something is really going on with my presentation, and I can just switch the slides. Okay, I will stop sharing the screen and I will share again because I can't just change my slides. I don't know what happens, I don't know, originally I'm working from them, and I see that, and I think it's not my, only my, okay, as I understand, I got the information from our wonderful committee that I should I should just take. I should just speak. I think I will speak. Maybe I will try the last moment, the last time, and if I won't be able just to tell the slides, I will just I will speak because I got a lot of very helpful information, and I'm sure that also I would like it would be very interesting for you to see some inspiration. So the last time I'm trying to share my screen. Okay, maybe now it's working. Please continue if everything is working well, and now maybe it will be better. Okay. Okay, can you see everything well now? Yes, I think everything is working now. Well now, okay. So let's go to the next point. And of course also I would like to share with you that when we talk about make sure that everybody is here in the room, you agree that we need economic education. Because economic education of course also will have impact on the innovations we need for the sustainability. So that's why I want to talk today about it. I would like to discuss with you, I would like to share with you my perspective about the economic education. What does it really mean? And also, I would like to share with you why we work about all the time, because there are some gaps. All the time there are big gaps in economic education. And also, I would like to discuss with you and share with you some reflections, some conclusions, how economic education can help us in sustainability, in also implementation of the technology. And also, of course, I would like to share with you some good practices, something that everybody can take from this meeting and implement as your everyday work. First, also, I would like to invite you to some events. We are here in the room, and thank you everybody who is here in the room and is connected online. I know that there are many wonderful people who are connected here. So I'm sure that you agree that very often when we ask someone about sustainability, people tell us, sustainability is climate change. But I'm sure that everybody who is here today, you agree with me that it's not only just climate change. There are many things that happen. We are talking about quality of time. We are talking also about education. We are also talking about the technology that can help us to make our life better, but also to make the changes in the environment and at the same time to improve our life. That's why when we think about sustainability, we should have always a bigger picture. There's many things that could happen to be sustainable, because sustainability is not only environment, it's more. And also, because we are here, we are talking about technology. But I would like to share another perspective. Because technology alone is not enough. We need more to make sustainability happen. We need understanding why we are doing it. And that's why education for sustainable development helps people make reasonable policies for the environment, economy, and society. And so this conference is focused on sustainability, innovation, and technology, and this is one of the talking about it. And this is exactly right. One important question is often missing. To exactly understand the cost, incentives, fairness, using behind sustainability. Education for sustainable development should help people make reasonable choices for the environment, economy, and society. This means economics should be part of the sustainable education, not separate from this, and that's why when we talk about technology, we should talk also about economic education. And valuation is not mean only budgeting or personal finance. It means helping learners understand incentives, trade-offs, public goods, externalities, inequality, and long-term decision-making. These ideas matter because sustainability always raises practical questions. Who pays for it? Who benefits? What should be regulated? How do short-term costs compare with long-term gain? Economic education helps people move from good intention to better judgment. Economic education helps people to understand what is really about, what we are talking about. And of course, in many sectors there has been rapid progress in sustainability tools, reporting systems, and of course innovation language. And of course also when we talk about the sustainability, of course we are talking about the technology. But understanding has not always gone at the same pace. This creates a gap between sustainability tools and knowing how to use them wisely. And if the gap is ignored, good policies can be misunderstood, and good technologies can face resistance or weakness. And when people understand sustainability policies, sustainability policies are easier to explain to them. And the first way economic education helps is by making student costs easier to understand. Many environmental problems involve externalities, which means that market does not reflect the full social or environmental cost. Once people understand this idea, policies such as carbon pricing or circular economy rules become easier to understand. Sustainability then becomes not only a moral goal, but also a question of system design. And the second way it helps is through better incentives. Sustainability policy or fair discussion because of the way taxes, subsidies, standards, or market rules are designed. A policy may start managers and citizens think more clearly about these design issues. And the third way is by making the transition better and more inclusive. And inclusive finance matters for resilience and also for just transition. And this matters because low income and climate or rural groups need access, capability, and trust if they are expected to take part in a greener future. If a transition is not fair, it will not be doable. People won't understand it. And all the time there is a gap of understanding. That's why today I'm talking about this. So I would like to share with you some numbers because it's good to identify very important for us to understand that capability gap is not only theoretical. Based on the OECD evidence, it is shown that the average adult finance therapy score across the countries, the last of the whole world, was 100, while the average digital financial literacy was 53% out of 100. Only 29% reached the minimum digital financial literacy target. These findings suggest that many adults are still not fully prepared for more digital and contact economy. Many people don't understand what it's about. That's why I'm sure that many of you had the same conversation with citizens when we discussed them about sustainability. They asked us questions like, what is it about? What you are talking about? I don't care, it's not for me. Why it happens? Because first of all, people don't have to know, people don't understand what this is about. And technology can help us, can help make economic ideas easier to see and understand. Simulations, figures games, dashboards, and online learning tools can show results, side effects, and institutional outcomes more clearly